Yo, as we kick off World War III with a bang, the inciting incident, Hacker Hamid versus the Dick of Justice and Immortal Forever Infidels. Here, back in the Monday locker room in the Kayfabe Cannabis Vault. It's the one and only final Cannaboss, Hacker Hamid, and we'll see if RBV hasn't been hacked and have some tech issues of his own. But it's Monday. It's time to lock up the room here at channelattitude.com. Hamid Media Group. YOLO. Oh, what's going on, guys? Good to be back with you here live. Doing it on the fly. RBV having a little bit of audio issues. I can see him, he can hear me, but I can't hear him. So everything sound okay out there? Let me know. Bearcats as the chat room fills up here at Ben Hameen YouTube channel, twitch.tv/Hameen Media. And as always, channelattitude.com, man. Good to be back with you guys. Repping Ravens Joy, repping High Peaks this morning. Big shout out to High Peak Central Processors. Everybody working hard over there, making those awesome gummies, infused pre-rolls. What else we the Kalash new 3.5 grams as we head into 420 week. Huge week of business here at Ravens Joint. So we're excited for the week ahead. Got a lot of deliveries coming in to make sure we got plenty of stock of everything from heirloom cannabis drinks to your favorite pre-rolls to all the smiz you can handle, Briz. And I don't know, I'm trying to vamp here for a couple minutes to see if RBV is able to get back online and get his sound corrected. He can just jump on his phone. You know, we're already here. It's not the end of the world yet. So we'll see. Let's but instead we got
surprise.
And his audio's out too. 2 for Tuesday, baby. Check 1 2. Maybe it's me. Maybe
it's you. No, it's you because I'm coming. It's you
guys.
It's you because I
can't hear you.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see here. My audio is all the way up, but you guys, they can hear me in the chat room. So maybe it is my computer, and then maybe it isn't you guys. Check 1 2. I don't know. CTMSG's here, but it was a great weekend. Oh, he says I can hear you both clear, so they can hear you, but I can't hear you. Very interesting. Hold on, check 1 2. Now try and talk and see if it goes.
Check.
Yeah. So it wasn't RBV, it was me because the HDMI is in the TV. So somebody message RBV. I will tell them to run back in. Hold on. Oh, it was you, not me, RBV. It was you. It was me, RBV. Run back in. Yalla. So good rib to start the morning off. Get RBV all fired up. He's restarted his computer 15 times, I'm sure. But regardless, hey man, one of my favorite producers and one of my new favorite analog entities. He's not an AI. I can vouch for that. And he's taller than I thought he was going to be. Is in the house this morning. It's East Coast Maddie, live from Connecticut, man. What a great weekend to have you come out. I can't say thanks enough again. It was great to have a great beer with you near the missile silo and hang with one of my best friends ever and hang with one of the greatest producers of an HMG history, man. So.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. I was gonna say great. Yeah, I mean, great time going up there and getting to see, Ben Hameen wrestle. I'm glad I get to come on here before we get to talk about Light the Fuse this week. Because I was gonna say there was an injustice that happened last Saturday night. Ben Hameen is no longer allowed to wrestle in the state of New York. Some bullshit. All right, he got duped into another match, which he clearly could have beaten up that other fucking guy, whatever. And then all of a sudden, Dick Justice comes out. There's no justice. I thought this was America. Where's my drop? Where's my Randy freaking drop? I thought this was America. Here. America. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm pumped up.
It's a Don Stevens cyber attack this morning. That's what we're under here. You never know as we go into World War III.
Here we go.
I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry. I thought this was America.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, there's no justice, but there's sure a lot of dick for everybody to go around. That's for sure. Yeah.
But other than that, it was a great time. You know, there was a little girl who was sitting in front of me the whole night, and she was just having a ball, freaking out when a Courageous Christina came out. At the end of the night, like after Courageous said goodbye, she was like, "I love you, Christina. Thank you so much." It was the cutest thing. But yeah, she got her licking on you, bro. When you were getting brought around the ring by Dick Justice to get some head slaps, this little girl pulled back her hand. She was ready, and I heard. I was like, "Dang." I got some slap at John Hameen's head.
Yeah, she laid it in there. There's no doubt about it. That was terrible. Dick Justice trying to get payback for all the $5 face slaps ever delivered. And I'm going to have my revenge on everyone in that entire crowd. I've gone back through the tapes. I've got AI working on facial recognition, and all of those people will be killed. So, that's I hope they enjoyed their face slap because it's one of the last ones they're ever going to get. And, Dick, the whole conspiracy. I mean, referee Sideburns in it. You saw the New York State Athletic Commission is in on it, trying to flash their badge, ripping up my wrestling license. Bill Collier's in on it. He's been targeted for elimination now, and obviously Dick Justice had to go back underground already because he knows how in danger his life is with Iran attacking and drones and every other thing coming at you.
Apparently, I took the heat for the loss on the wreckage review. Okay, now Jimmy T.
Problems. Yeah. And that you may indeed be in on it as well.
What?
So I mean, everyone is a suspect at this point. Well, you were. I can't eliminate you fully yet. You were in the arena, and if you were in Arizona, then maybe you'd have a little bit more of an alibi. But you were there, so everybody is a suspect at this point.
All right. Well, I just would like to hopefully clear my name. Shout out to Bin Hameen and the bountiful amount of cannabis products he has at Raven's Joint.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got samples, and I want to pay it forward and show you how much I appreciate you and how proud I am of you for everything you've accomplished. And yeah, man, I know you enjoy it. And
you know what? Frank makes the better. Maybe it was, Paul makes the better argument. Maybe it was Blaze. He was trying to get rid of you.
Well, maybe I thought of that too, obviously, but the reality is who got Blaze booked there, and now are multiple independent organizations working together to split Blaze and I up on two different fronts so they can try and pull their shit. I know Blaze, he's my brother, obviously, in the Sons of Allah, and that's not something. Not that I don't trust anybody, DTA, obviously, but it makes much more sense that some scumbag promoters would try and work together than Blaze turning against me. I look at every angle, absolutely. And New Jersey can be marked for destruction as well.
Bad time. It was. I mean, all in all, that was probably the saddest part of Saturday night. It was that whole incident.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's been quite a ride, bro. Like 17 years, and a lot of guys in that locker room that I've traveled a lot of miles and taken a lot of bumps with. And in the back, what you don't see, that's a nice arena to perform in, named after a president who got his head blown off. That back locker room, it's weird because there's the guys who are coming up, and then there's like this veteran section of that locker room where I don't want to say over guys go, but like guys who've been around. So to walk in there, and it's Brute Van Slyke, it's Slick Wagner Brown, Sean Carr, and Studley Steve McKenzie. Like these are all guys, Loca Vita, who's Father Derek. These are guys I've been working with since 2012, every year, every month in some organization or another, having feuds with them or tagging with WWE stars, or even to look at my years of war with Dick Justice and how that brought us to hacksaw Jim Duggan multiple times where we main evented, whether it was at Woodsman's or in Elmira. And on that show was AJ Styles as the New Japan champ, or, you know what I mean? Like Mickey James on that. And we're the main event to get to kidnap Jessica Havoc and make her, wife 111. And she doesn't get to play the damsel in distress much. And that led to Roddy Piper being on the last Piper's Pit. And then, just an unbelievable experience. And then even to spin out of those feuds and work in other organizations where we worked with Hornswoggle and mixed him in. Like, our business is so entertaining and so poignant on so many levels and can be as ridiculous or as serious as it needs to be. Yeah, man, like that, we made each other's careers, to be honest with you, off of that. And it shows that story and entertainment that goes on can go on forever. It'll never be over until one of us is at the other one's funeral. And then you should even suspect then that the other one just faked their own death to get back at the other guy.
Basically, what you're telling me is in the casket, you'll be throwing your hands up at air while you're dead.
Yeah, nobody does it like that, right? How was that? Good. It looked okay.
Good. Yeah, enjoy. I was going to comment. So yeah, Ben did some good character work in his match, and there were moments like you're outside the ring, like just punching at thin air, and it was making me laugh. I was like, that would be realistic if you were like fucking stumbling. You would be in a fight. You would be throwing hands.
I almost took out Sideburns, and I almost took out the cameraman.
The Sideburns one got me.
Yeah. Well, that's all Terry Funk. That's Funk. That's Funk and early Flair, and that's what I'm striving for, because nobody else does that shit on a show. And Terry Funk, Jerry Lawler, all that era stuff is gold, especially when it's he and I. That it makes it super easy. Or you go in for a big dive spot and he just has to slap you on your head, and it gets just as big a pop as anything else. But that little girl did fucking smack the shit out of me. But no, MSG did not get a $5 face slap. Bello did not get one. Colin did not get one. I think that shows that they are smarter than the average infidel.
Thank you. I was like, I'm not paying for this. I'm not going to pay to get willingly slapped in the face. You guys, have you shaken Ben Hami's hand? He's a very large hand. I was like, I am not getting slapped with that hand.
Well, here's the other part too, because I turned around later, and in the VIP locker room wasn't MSG talking to the commissioner of the athletic commission of New York State, who indeed screwed me over. So to all those who believe MSG is in on the conspiracy, you may absolutely be correct about that.
Actually, the truth of the matter was, I was having a nice conversation with the commissioner about Papa Don.
So you're screwing over Papa Don next? That's what's going to happen? It's not a conspiracy against the conspiracy horsemen. I'm
taking you all down.
I say I must be crazy, and I'm making it up in my own mind. I guess so.
No, good conversation with that older gentleman. Nice man. He was. He gave me almost like a little history lesson on all his, his time in, professional wrestling and stuff like that, and told me about how he used to watch wrestling in the 60s and 70s growing up, and it was a nice conversation with him.
Yeah, man, that guy's been around for my whole career here. He's seen all the matches. Like I said, even at other places where we get mixed in, where I got to work the Patriot and all this and all these guys, dude. Like, it's just been a crazy run of kind of weaving in and out of different feds. And WWE guys know when it's easy and you can just do a bit and not take bumps and shit, although I was feeling some of those bumps, that hacksaw shoulder block at the end definitely drilled me pretty good, and actually my forehead's pretty smashed up from all those turnbuckles too. So one of them I go, oh, that one's a little deep, because I felt the tie rod go right across my forehead. It's like, oh shit, that's gonna leave a mark. So I went to the casino yesterday, got a nice massage from some of the wives over there, and used the sauna steam room, and I feel good today that I'll be able to make it through the week without being too fucked up.
All right, all right. Well, there's your, the only thing. I mean, we talked about it after. It was funny, right? Dick Justice trying to get you up on his shoulders or whatever that was, in the turnbuckle for a superplex. I thought that was hysterical.
Well, I mean, if we're talking shop here, I guess it's the Monday locker room, right, where we half fave and we half don't because the Bearcats deserve the best. And big shout out to the Bearcats. I try to get you guys over in my entrance. And big shout out to my man Rated R CNY walking me out
Yeah.
with the Hacker Hameen theme. That meant a lot to me to get to do something with him.
I just want to point out,
Always
as a long
does.
time Ben Hameen, obviously, fan and supporter, for me to go to Ben Hameen's match, and I got CNY performing, and I got Ben Hameen versus Dick Justice after the fabled story. I mean, it was a great experience for me.
Yeah, dude, and that's what I wanted to be. I was trying to get Hacksaw there, but he's been booked all the way up till he told me he's booked till September.
Wow.
Like that's how fucking over he is for the summer on travel. So sometimes it works out when the stars line, and other times I thought it was great to get to have the commission there. But yeah, sorry, right before that I was saying the Bearcats on the
Superplex.
entrance on the way out. Yeah, man. It was I know you were filming, so you put up some highlight reel footage or low light reel footage, depending on how you think of my wrestling. And yeah, it was good to have all you guys there. And like you said, hung out with my best friend
Tony?
my best friend TK actually. That's funny. We hung out with TK afterwards.
Okay. We did hang out with Tony. Okay, that's funny.
So we hung out with TK and had a cold beer and celebrated. It was good to have TK there. Shout out to you, buddy. And yeah, man, people making the trip, and just fans that, like I said, to have two CW brothers there. We've been performing together since my debut in 2012. And in that arena, bro, I've had big moments in my life from being the first Grand Slam champion, tagging with the Conspiracy Horsemen and Stevie there, Big Sal turning on the FBI, like multiple hacksaw matches, seeing unbelievable matches like Young Bucks versus Kazarian and Daniels, and that's where Daniels smashed his fucking shins into the guardrail, double hematoma, bro. I mean, I've seen unbelievable moments and been part of incredible moments there in the last decade. And that's right down the street from the missile silo. So, like I said, to wrap it up and not have to travel, that was where it needed to go down. But Blaze Haram's got his orders, and so does Ziwu, and they know who to attack and where to attack next. Just because I'm not there, let me ask them this. Do you think I'm more dangerous or less dangerous not being there? Do you think Dick Cheney and George Bush Jr. and Barack Obama are more dangerous now or not that they're in the public spotlight? Let that sink in.
That's a good point. Well, I did get a chance to, obviously, I got to meet the famous Dippin' D, Demetrius Z.
Yeah,
Commenter.
you weren't backstage. You didn't get any donuts, did you?
No one gave me donuts.
Shiz, I didn't. I wasn't even thinking about it. I would have gotten you some. They were all
It's fine.
back.
I should have said something to D, but I didn't want to be like the first. Hey, what's up? Where's my fucking donut? I didn't want to be like that guy. Met his lovely lady. They were awesome. And then, while we were hanging out there, I just wanted to, because we're in the locker room here. I got to meet the famed Chris Envy. He came up to the table.
Oh yeah,
nice
Envy was there too. Yeah, man. Shout out to Dynasty because that's like the way it started out was Chris and Mike, who owns Immortal now, were working together, and then whatever little carny fallouts happened, and then Chris moved away, but he had Dynasty before that, and all this is all 2CW spin out because they never would have been allowed to operate while 2CW was going. Same with Excite, you know what I mean? And also there in that Royal Rumble was Hellcat, who is the owner of UPW in Rochester, now there's another Fed there where a lot of guys, Colin Delaney and Nick Ando and guys who worked for him have their own thing. But, Hellcat is a guy, and that's another part of the Dick Justice story. I left out another name drop is, Zeb Coulter, Dutch Mantel, with him, Dirty Jock Sampson and I and Dick they were in a match, and I got to work with him too, So again, and that was, and same with Hornswoggle. And I got to thank Hellcat. So to see Hellcat in the Battle Royal, to have Envy there, to have Mike there, like those are all guys I've made money for and money with. And I've gotten them sponsorships and I've gotten them stars that have made their shows great entertainment wise. And we've been able to work with so many awesome people from the Hispanic Mechanics to the Nazi Mafia, to the FBI. It just doesn't stop. You know what I mean? And my guy, Dirty Bomb Dewey, was there. I didn't think he was going to be in the Battle Royal because he just had some back surgery stuff, but there he was. I would have mixed him into my stuff. But shout out to Super Beast and Dirty Bomb and a lot of these guys who have been in my storylines as human shields and taken a lot of bumps from me. And usually they turn on me and it pays off. And one guy who isn't around is Jack Trades, who was mixed into that storyline and is, deeply missed after he passed from cancer this past year. But we do everything in that memoriam and to be in that locker room in the back with two CW guys. It was a cool way to end things out, man. It really was. So if that's the way it goes in New York, they think they can take me out, but I have diplomatic immunity, so there is no taking me
That's true.
out.
That is true. Yes, I was also going to say, I'm hoping the, within the next couple of months or so, go check out the Greek God of Papadon wrestle, and go down to New York City. Check
Absolutely.
out a fabled Greek god. Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, obviously I'm just standing here. Rick hit me up. He was like, "Hey, can you jump on?" So I don't have all the hot business stories that Rick likes to put together every Monday. But one thing that I did see that happened over the last couple of days, and I've been trying to, I don't know, maybe have a conversation with somebody who's not a New Japan fan to try and get an understanding. But Jon Moxley just won the IWGP World Heavyweight title. He's now the champion of the Japanese promotion. And I've had multiple people see and post, including our own Jargo, say this is good for business. My question is why is this good for business? And maybe you can, analyze it a little bit, because you've got Jon Moxley now, who's the champion of this Japanese promotion. They've got the ties with New Japan. New Japan itself has lost considerable amount of their stars recently, that being Will Ospreay and Okada. So is this a way for them to help make new stars? Who does this benefit? Is this benefiting AEW? Is this benefiting New Japan? What is the benefit?
That's a great question. And obviously I don't follow the actual week to week of New Japan, but when you have forgive me, I forget what they call Americans there. All I can think of is Quilo, which is round eye, but that's not it. And Joshi are the girls, but they would know, these guys should know.
I don't know, like the Hispanics. But
yeah, great, it's something like that, right? But when AJ Styles was champ in that show that I worked Hacksaw on in the 6-man, he was IWGP champ, and it just gives a global credibility to that title, so it's not on the island right there, and then he can tour with it and go back and defend it there. It makes, not that he wasn't a global superstar, but it makes you look like someone who's really dialed into going all over the globe and representing that. Now the rib is that IWGP championship weighs about 4 times as much as any other title I've ever fucking held in my hands, bro. The thing feels like it's either cast iron or made of lead. It is so fucking heavy. So to be the champ of that, it's a rib on you. Everybody, like AJ was handing it around, and everybody who grabbed it's like, holy shit, dude. Like, if here's what nobody does with that title and puts that over. And I thought of this when I held it. I was like, I go, dude, this should be known how heavy this title is. So when somebody does a belt shot with it, it's an instant knockout. Right. You're in, like, when a heel cheats with the IWGP title, like gets it from Moxley and hits Moxley with it to go over and knocks him out, it would be a completely believable knockout to anybody who's ever held that fucking belt, because it feels way different than anything else. So not that a regular belt could knock you out, but that one should have like an asterisk next to it, like nobody sells this belt shot ever. And it should just be lore. But yeah, him having that, I think, is a good idea, especially if that company is being sold or they're only doing 60,000. And there's, he kind of did what in AEW, gig in the first match and get color, and that trick ran itself dry. And he really is kind of in process paralysis right now. The Blackpool Combat Club thing they wanted to work out, and then Regal left, so that kind of was egg on everybody's face. And there really hasn't been much since then. So why not? I think this is a good new record to play right here. You know what I mean? Drop the needle on, and he can get a good year and a half out of maybe one or two, three good feuds that do business. Like I say, one feud that starts something should be the inception point for how it's going to end, but maybe not with that original guy. What dominoes does it push in motion that we can heighten and explore where we want to be in 18 months, hypothetically, if everybody's healthy, where we can then mix all those worlds in together in maybe a trifecta Venn diagram, and what's that sweet spot in the middle. But it just needs to be thought out and planned out of what's the end business and how do we get there. There's 15, 20 different ways to get there. No way is incorrect, but what is the coolest and best way that we can build New Japan guys and make them international stars, do something that has stakes tied to it, you know what I mean? Something maybe even with Renee, or him just being on the road, being a working man. And, there's somebody that's like a high level, high profile star there that doesn't have to do all the heavy labor and lifting. And he's like, the poster boy for Japan, and has all the liquor fucking endorsements and that type of shit, and is just a superstar. So you can set up different stakes if you want to, or somebody who's disrespectful to Japanese culture and Moxley tries to represent, or he just wants to be the crazy American. He can be that, like the Terry Funk was there. So we just have to decide what's the best route to take now that we have this opportunity set up, because just winning a belt doesn't really mean shit if you don't have any emotion tied to it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing when we have this conversation, obviously every week on Light the Fuse, which you can check out here, channelattitude.com. Um, you know, it's great, the partnership, and them trying to enhance each other's company to build a broader audience, but without, possible or potential storylines or something for the audience to, jump on to. Will it matter? I do want to bring this up, which I think is interesting. And I think my friend's going to hit me up and be like, see, I told you. Sign guy, you've probably seen him around all the WWE events. Shout out to Connecting People Through Wrestling. My buddy Chris, he's the one who goes to all those events and started that movement. And now people are just bringing the signs, right? And we were having a conversation in regards to YouTube. And he made the argument that AEW should potentially just look at moving off of television, going straight OTT, maybe putting more of their content on YouTube or the platforms, because then it would give audiences outside of the United States an opportunity to grab onto that. He used the example like Kazuchika Okada, obviously probably having a larger presence in the Japanese market, and maybe they don't have access to AEW television from the United States. So by, let's say, putting that information out on the internet.
Japan has no technology at all. They're not into tech at all. And they don't really understand it too much. I get your buddy's point of view. Shout out to anybody who's trying to offer a creative solution. But all you need to do is go on to fucking X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and take a look at the arenas from this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Where there was 1,850 people in a 10,000 seat arena. And while Tony Khan is trying to do the rah-rah speech while they switch out the ring aprons for ROH for the 11th hour of wrestling that night, fucking people are getting up and walking out. You think if Vince McMahon in any time in his career came out to fucking talk to the crowd in between, people would be getting up and leaving to go fucking grab a beer or piss?
Please don't leave, guys. Stick around.
That's what needs to be addressed, not the platform we're on. If he was playing the Hammerstein Ballroom, if he was playing some casino, Foxwoods, in rooms that are small and cool and really catered to 2,000 to 3,000 hardcore fans, and you pack those small rooms, the energy would be incredible, just like it was at the Moose Lodge for ECW or 2300 Arena. Why are they not playing 2300? You know, can you have they have shows there still? Like all those types of things, or even, dude, you were there. JFK Arena is not a bad little hockey rink to play. And if you have, you know, something set up that looks awesome, it would look incredible in there. So the ceilings are high enough. It's just getting over the ego that we can't play C-list places. Well, you should be playing nightclubs. You should be playing alternative places, because trying to keep up with WWE and having social media that makes your product look really less than because of how you're not drawing, and how are you supposed to even justify paying for TV or the boys travel and production when there's only 1,850 people there with probably an average ticket price of $30, right? So that show might have only drawn 42 grand, 50 grand, and it cost a hell of a lot more just in flights to get people there probably. So it's definitely about saying we need to scale back and scale down, and that doesn't mean that we have to look like shit. That gives us an opportunity to do what the other guy isn't doing, to get that ECW feeling back, and to have a show that's intimate in a very interesting setting. I don't care if you're doing them on the fucking deck of a Navy ship, whatever it is, a fight club in a warehouse feel, like something industrial where you even got big cat front end loaders that are all rusted around in four corners. You know what I mean? Like something that just feels cool. And that can draw people, because you never know what the next week's going to bring. So
Yeah, I think
but
it's
the arena shit's got to stop.
no, you're right. And like, I think back to, and this is, just 3 or 4 years ago, 2020, when I was working as a highlight editor for the Tri-City Americans. WWE would still run house shows in this arena, and that arena was only 6,000 to 7,000, but they would sell it out and make it look awesome. And it was the thing to do in the town that night when they came through, even not on a televised event, right? So like AEW should be looking at that model. They have enough people there who have the experience, whether it be Jeff Jarrett or the new COO, EO, all the people that are going to be working there. They need to be analyzing how they can be scaling down, as we've talked about, and making it give us the FOMO. If I look into the show, if we're talking about just watching X and you're just a casual viewer and you go, oh, like half the arena, 3/4 of the arena sold out. Like, what's my incentive to try and get tickets to this thing? Because anybody can go, right? Like, I'll just go to them next time they're here or whatever. They're always going to have tickets, right? So, like, by creating that fear of missing out, right, where you're smaller venue, packed houses, it becomes the thing to do. Then the next time they come through on their loop, you might be more excited to actually purchase tickets again if you missed it the last time.
Absolutely. And if there's only 2,000 available as opposed to 10,000, that instantly creates the want to have it, because of smaller opportunity to have something exclusivity wise. That's great marketing psychology, 100%. Not just the backdrop of what it is. Like I said, that one in Toronto we went to for Impact was an awesome feeling. And if you can take each month and pick 4 spots where you can have unique setups like that while you're on the road, that is what WWE would then start to copy. And then they'd look like Johnny come lately. Sure, they want to do the arena, but that starts to get over, then they're gonna bite off of that. But yeah, dude, I just don't think it's about am I on TV or this platform or what have you. It's about what you're putting out there. And I was even thinking about this too. Another thing they can do, where everyone's like, it's about 5-star matches and that. Dude, they've tried entertainment, and they need to stick with that. When Darby was directing his own stuff, that was good stuff. Even though people might feel a certain way about Waka Waka and wrestling, the Jericho and MJF musical or the MJF bar mitzvah, that's all entertainment. Tony Storm shit is A plus, and we're not even scratching the surface on what we should be doing with Tony Storm. That should be a 10-minute segment every show, split up into 2 or 3 little segments, or it could be anywhere. It could be 4 to 10, depending on if there's a match or something included. But now we're doing kind of like, and I don't mind this, HLA, like just to like do some sex tricks to like keep people interested. But we didn't even scratch the surface on where we could go with the off-camera pre-produced entertainment with Tony Storm, the red carpet, the movie premiere, the movie itself, multiple movies, multiple directors, and everybody having alternative characters, to where one of those shows becomes an entire night of silver screen that is in black and white, and everybody is living the high life, and we do something in Hollywood and it looks very cool. That alone could eat up time on our shows, or go across multiple shows where you do want to tune in to see what comes next in that storyline, or it's recapped on Dynamite of what you missed on Collision. So another part of that is to go back to entertainment and forget about who gives a shit about who's 41-2, or what the booking committee says who's a number one contender. Entertainment is something they should focus on a little bit more, pre-produced stuff.
All right, next story here I was able to conjure up here. I think is interesting. This last weekend, Dana White there was some comments about the TKO partnership and whether a WWE event could be held at the UFC Apex. So at a press conference ahead of the UFC 300, Dana White was asked about wrestlers being in attendance at Power Slap and whether there could be a WWE event at the UFC Apex. He says, "It's been good. All these wrestlers wanted to come and see Power Slap tonight. I love it and I appreciate the sport. Yeah, you probably could see a WWE match in the Apex there." Of course, that merger, happened back in 2023, and the UFC Apex opened in 2019. It's a live events and production center in Enterprise, Nevada, and is owned and operated by the UFC. It was, of course, used as the headquarters and events during the pandemic that the UFC continues to use. What do you think about WWE having a match at the UFC complex versus having a UFC match on a WWE card?
Well, the Apex is pretty small, so I think to do it would be good, but it'd be NXT. I don't think you'd put WWE there unless you had a crossover shoot that was a WWE guy going to fight UFC.
Well, I mean, at that point, wouldn't you just like get Barnett on board and just do Bloodsport and then do like a WWE guy, lady versus somebody?
That'd piss off Blake Troop pretty good after they already bit his shit last week during WrestleMania week after he worked his ass off. So shout out to Bulletproof Troop and all he's doing.
What did they bite? Just I missed that. I'm sorry.
He was doing a shoot with two wrestlers and it was cinematic, and one guy was masked dude, and then I guess something with during that was kind of taken from it. I forget, I have to go back through the chat, but I know I tried to hook him up with Chris Envy and some other promoters because he needed a license to run on. But I know there was just some stuff that was like, oh, we'll take that idea because we can get it over first. And welcome to the biz, Briz. So, but Blake Troop working his ass off in and out of the ring at every aspect of this game, promotion, commentary, and kick your fucking ass, So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd say you'd probably see more of an NXT vibe at
just the size of the arena of the Apex, and what I know from Hartnett, you know what I mean? Johnny Publix, I would probably say, because it's not a huge place to have a WWE show, but it would be a good crossover, because then you could have the WWE show with all the MMA guys in there marking out, and at the end, if you wanted to have it break down, you have big phony ass brawl, right? So I didn't get to watch all 300. I was fucking pretty beat to shit after my match and hanging with you guys. I did see the Max Holloway fucking crazy knockout that got 300K. That was dope. But Johnny Publix told me to bet on Ray Kick because he's got awesome kicks, and that it cost me 3 parlays. So I was upset.
What do you? I mean, this is an interesting. This was based from Yahoo Entertainment about a week ago. So because we're on the subject of Bloodsport here, Natalya from the WWE had expressed interest about potentially competing at Bloodsport, saying that she, having been trained with Josh helped her so much, especially with the submission game and training in the dungeon with the family in Calgary, and the dungeon that TJ and him now have they own. She said, "I would love to do something like Bloodsport. I think it was cool. Such a great environment. The fans that were there at the show made the show so much fun, and I would love to do something like that. I think it's so cool that WWE is doing more stuff like that." She also went on to comment about Jordan Grace and stuff like that. So maybe we do it women's. I mean, you could do Natalia versus like a Shayna Baszler or somebody else from the outside at
Sure. They
Bloodsport.
got the other chick with the cornrows, the blonde chick who was with Steiner Brothers version 2.0. I can't remember her name. Already, she came out with the chains on like Vince. There's a couple, there's a couple girls. I doubt Ronda Rousey will be back after all the bullshit the last couple weeks, but Natty, maybe that is a way for her to get a little different appeal. She obviously can work the shoot and her chain wrestling and grappling is tight, especially you don't have to do spots with girls who want to do fucking head scissor takeovers and shit. Um, and she's never had like a true technician gimmick where she went at it, and it would be believable, especially that'd be a good place to mix Brett back in. Not that it has to be big and flashy. He's just there in his Canadian tuxedo and, cheering her on pretty much. So I could definitely see that working, but what are we doing? Are you going to be the cat lady? Are you going to be a knockoff of Brett who's giving little kids sunglasses? Are you going to be part of the Florida clique doing, softcore porn shots with your sister? Like, which way are we going? So if she's going to be a shooter to face Shayna Baszler, it better seem serious and she better understand where the value in her changing is as opposed to just I'm gonna go have a half shooter match and then come back as cat lady next week. Like it needs to lead to something new for her.
Well, let's shift into a little WWE talk here. I don't know if you saw. Did you get a chance to watch SmackDown this last week, Ben?
I haven't. I was gonna put it on today because I got to review it tomorrow, so I'll have it on at the shop this morning.
Okay.
So,
well, I don't want to spoil anything, but I know you don't care. Last week they basically are kind of I don't want to say rebooting the Bloodline.
yeah, I know
now
they had was it Tama Tonga showed up?
Yeah, so they're shifting the Bloodline now into the next probably phase of their story. They had Solo decimate Jimmy, and then Tama Tonga came out to the crowd, and they both beat him down, as well as destroyed the Bloodline phone that Paul Heyman.
Why did they go after Jimmy?
So they made the argument that Paul Heyman did, that is, after he comes out, cuts his promo and talks about how they lost, they own it, there's consequences, etc., etc. So Solo shifts that into, well, like you just said, there's consequences for losing your match, and because Jimmy was the one who lost to Jay at WrestleMania, he was kicked out essentially of the Bloodline.
That's interesting. So obviously they're putting the Usos back together, and then they'll face Solo and Tama. And from the chat room, I agree with Artist Trends. Surprised he went to main roster. That's what shocks me. Yeah, it's not the WWE way, right? And Tama Tonga, a good charisma. You know what I mean? Good person to fit in there. But to get the up that quickly does leave you scratch your head because Solo's really not ready to carry that ball. I don't think himself either. So split the workload, but they both will probably need a lot of character help. I think there was opportunity to do Jay there and have Jay confront Jimmy. And then that's the surprise, and they still kick the shit out of Jay to keep him over as a baby face. Now we're just going to get Usos back together and people are going to go, which one is which? Them being separated, they got to shine individually. Yeah. Now as the twins, we're going to be back to that same issue again down the road. At first, it'll be like, oh, brothers reunited and they forgive. And that's a good storyline to play out. But I would have just added with Rock going away, Tama in there with Roman going away, and that's what they're doing to play that out between them to carry that storyline. But I probably would have just kept everybody heel instead of kicking Jimmy out.
Yeah, and well, I think the reason why, I mean, this is just based on the speculation so far and what's being reported by the dirt sheets. Sean Sapp reports that
Never heard of him.
there's no word yet on the remaining members. Apparently, Jacob Fatu has been signed, former MLW heavyweight champion and their longest champion of 831 days for that brand before WWE was doing the gimmick. And then also goes on to say that apparently WWE is very interested in also picking up Hukaleo. I guess he wrestles in New Japan as well. I think he's a larger gentleman, and he may have a contract that expire in June. But I've seen multiple reports go back and forth. Maybe we're doing Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns and the Usos, or are we just going to bring in Jacob Fatu and have Jacob Fatu solo and Tama's under Roman now? So there's a couple different ways they could go. I don't know. I kind of think that it sounds like, wouldn't it be more of a WWE style if Roman Reigns eventually does turn babyface, right? After being heel for 3-4 years. And it's him and the Usos that take down the quote unquote new bloodline with Solo,
Well,
Tama,
yeah, I
and
mean,
someone else.
isn't that what every tribe is about? Like that the younger ones have to dethrone the tribal chief. Like
Mm,
that's how it goes. They usually just don't step down, you know. So there
yeah.
has to be someone who's young and hungry, and we show the pecking order, and we show brotherhood and tests and all that kind of stuff, and loyalty, and dissension inside the tribe, and somebody being exiled from the island, and how do they redeem themselves? Those are all interesting stories to play out. Just we got a lot of fucking Islanders now. And the more you have, the less special each one can become. They can be focused on for sure. But here's the bottom line: like back in the day, like we don't need one. We don't need another one. We already got one of those, right? No matter what race it was. What Vince would be like, but Vince ain't the boss. In fact, all of his shares are up for buy right now in the stock market. And who is the boss? The final boss, the Rizak. And all he's doing, no matter what, is giving his family jobs. And you can't hate on that, right? Like if it was any of us and you had your family could get over on camera and make you money too, you're gonna, even if they couldn't, you'd still give them a job
Yeah.
driving the truck or fucking working in catering to take care of them, right? So that's also part of what we're seeing here. But Brian Gerwitz has a good opportunity to do attitude era level stuff and mix all these guys in here. It's interesting. I'm still going to myself because next week he's coming here on fourth, not here at Ravens Joint, but he's going to be in Syracuse 420. Maybe he'll come over. Rikishi. I'm surprised they didn't mix him in before WrestleMania. I think that was a missed opportunity to heighten and
He
explore
did it
before
for The Rock.
WrestleMania. Yeah, yeah. I think that was a big missed opportunity. And they can still mix him in for SummerSlam. That would be good. And I think Nia Jax not being addressed and doing stuff is a big mistake. Like just putting her over and tying her in instantly raises her game of what the fans believe who's over and who's not,
Why
So
aren't we doing a heel NXT general manager now, right? With The Rock's daughter. Why isn't she taking over down there? You're
they
right.
do just a little bit of that. Like I
Oh,
saw her with Pierce and Aldis,
yeah.
and she's young and they're trying to help her carry the scene and she's gonna get better. But yeah, what is her as Stephanie McMahon esque character? What does that look like? You know
Hmm,
what I mean?
interesting.
And the reality is that's the opportunity to rib the shit out of Sasha Banks about being a CEO when she's not any of that shit. And now here's a girl learning to be a CEO. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot there that definitely could be, but they still haven't tied those loose ends together, and introducing a new character is okay, but I'd rather see attention paid to those three other things we just talked about before we bring in somebody new.
The only other piece of information I've saw pop up over, I guess I wasn't really paying attention, but it happened the last couple days. I guess WWE announced the draft is coming back April 26th and 29th. And of course, that is going to include NXT stars as well. However, we're still probably waiting for what is it, Scott Steiner's kid, probably to come up, Braun Breaker, at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't,
Well,
I
he
don't
did
have
his
any
big. He
comments
did
on the
his big.
draft.
He did his big goal. Well, I mean, ironically enough, America's about to announce another draft as well as we go
Oh.
into World War III. So
I'm glad
have
I'm
fun.
old enough to get out of that, man.
Yeah. I'm retired. Yeah, fucking. I'm sure I'll do plenty of propaganda work for him though. Yeah, man. That's. Do we need a draft? I don't know to like come up because to me that goes well. Then who's getting fired? Because there's plenty of people who are on WWE roster right now who aren't even being featured on TV for a variety of reasons, right? That
Right.
you're like, oh, you want to talk about Braun Breaker? Where's Braun Strowman? I know, Nikki Bella's at the not Nikki Bella, Nikki, what's her last name? Nikki Ash. Yeah, she's at the Hall of Fame, and that's the first we've seen of her in 6-7 months. After doing all the crazy Nikki stuff and whatnot. Or we have people like Michin on the show, and we're like, well, what is she really doing? So when people come up, are those people at risk of being gone, or when I see things like Ricochet picking up Ivar out of the corner and catching him in a splash, I'm going, what the fuck? Why are they burying this guy or his tag team partner's wife? People like that, after WrestleMania are usually avoiding their phones because any call that's coming in from the office could be, hey, we're just deciding to go another way right now. And your life changes quickly. However, if you are one of those people that are about to be cut, you almost hope you're one of the first so you can get to Tony Khan or Billy Corgan before anybody else does. So, it's like one phone call to the next. So even those who have the foresight that aren't completely in the bubble of like, hey, I could be cut right here. Hopefully they've already been working the phones, backdoor kayfabe to get a job so they can go from one to the other as quickly as possible.
Okay, and actually, there is something else here. I could have saved it till Wednesday, but let's rip the Band-Aid off. Ben, let's analyze now that we have the numbers, the brawl out, all out backstage incident. So according to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, the previous week's Dynamite before last week had garnered 752,000 viewers, with the prior 4 weeks averaging 774,000. However, this week's last Dynamite with the Punk coverage, it rose to 819,000 viewers. So we saw a 9% increase from the week before, and that was Dynamite's best rating since February 28th. And it's also the best since January 17th.
And we talked about the format of the show. An Okada get over, some good entertainment. They stepped on a lot of sags like they do, but the format of that show had a better flow to it. I would have liked to seen Dustin go over for the title, and that would have helped the Swerve and Samoa Joe angled, and then you would have had Dustin as champ for a week. The same time Cody wasn't finishing the story, they could have piggybacked off that. No one would have hated a ton, and then you really could have had two people because like you did that, but what's your trick for this week to get people to tune in, right?
Yeah.
You shot that shot and you tied it in, but it doesn't really make people go, FTR was behind it, and now the Young Bucks and the FTR have shoot heat. Like it was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and a lot of shots at unprofessionalism of the Ariel Helwani stuff of him of what he said or breaking locker room kayfabe to bury guys. But a lot of the pundits are like, see, it's just like what Punk said it was. And I'm not saying Jack Perry fucking doesn't have an attitude or wasn't trying to chastise or get a rise out of him, but he didn't take no swing at Punk. Punk was the aggressor, And I've been in a weird situation like that at OVW when one of Punk's boys, actually, Cliff Compton, got in the face of Ali off of some finish where in the ring, and Cliff was way more over because he was on TV with Deuce and Domino. So he was hot about it in some way that the under guys who are rips non-contracts are trying to call a spotter or something that happened out there, and he got in his face, and I had to fucking do kind of what Chris Hero did in the backstage there, wrap him up and get the situation. Nah, that ain't going down here, son. After he pie faced Ali,
You know,
so
I
go
also
ahead.
would I was gonna say, I also think, for any of the critics that have, I don't know, crapped on Jack Perry, I think that you might not have ever been in a situation in a professional environment where you're attacked by a coworker. There's kind of a bit of a shock that comes with that. I can speak to that personally. I was working a production set in college and I was hanging out, with a bunch of people, all the production people, the director, whatever, and there was somebody complaining and he's just been complaining the whole day. So I just politely said, "Hey, man, it sounds like you're having a bad day. If this is too stressful for you, do you want to take a break or maybe, go home? We can take care of it." And he got offended and just took one right at me. And initially I wanted to be like, "What the fuck is, but I looked around, I stopped and I was just like, all right, like I'm not going to do this right here, right now. That's what I did. And and that's kind of, if you look at Jack Perry, he was taken aback and kind of shocked, like, the fuck's going on? Like, are we actually doing this back here? You know what I mean?
Like you want a jaw jack and like in wrestling, I mean, sounds like you handled it with a cooler head trying to diffuse the situation where I could see just the body language of like, I'm about to go out there or whatever it was in his match. And like, this is going down in Gorilla right here. Like that alone shows like a weird move from a guy who's way more political, right? It's a spot picker move. It's a I can get over on this guy and bully him move because of who I am, and I think he's disrespectful. Which both parties may be right. Everybody may be a dickhead in this whole fucking scenario,
Right.
but to then go with Tony Khan, I was afraid for my life. Like I've never been more
Yeah.
terrified. Like maybe that's true because I doubt homie's ever been in a lot of what the fuck situations, you know what I mean? But it is that, I mean, how fast did that happen? 15 seconds. And that's what most street fights or weird scenarios where things go sideways, where everyone's like, what the fuck? Really, it's Chris Hero's cell of frustration that shows, like, God damn it. Like, all I can think of is Chris Hero going, shit, Punk just helped me get this job and now he's fucking it up. I'm going to be out of here because they're all ROH click guys, right? So, but Chris Hero's a fucking nice ass dude, so I can see why he'd be upset that somebody's upsetting the balance in gorilla position,
Yeah. And
Go
if we
ahead.
do look at the fight, I can see it I've seen the argument, that, it does appear toward the end of that video when Punk is being held back that I'm not saying lunging because I think that's not a lunge. We've lunged. If you've actually lunged at someone in a fight, you're lunging. Like he wasn't lunging. Was he aggressively trying to get over, talk to him? Maybe. We don't know. I don't know the context of the words he was saying. We know that he said, "I quit. You're a clown. Goodbye." But like we didn't hear the audio, so I can't make the assumption. But if
Right.
TK was sitting there and monitors, as we saw, were being jostled and moved around, who knows if that did scare him? I'm not going to crap on Tony because I don't know his upbringing and background in that environment. Right?
Yeah, but I just think about not I me my, but fucking like I think about
Yeah,
some
I mean, as we
situations
talk about
I've been
this,
in my life. I'm just like, dude, that compared to like
yeah,
when I was at the Ghostface show and fucking 200 bottles got thrown over my head in less than 30 seconds, and it was like some Wild West shit. Like, you think that's scary, bro? Like,
yeah, different
it's just
strokes
funny
for
the lives
different
people
folks,
live.
I guess. Right? I mean,
But
people.
then also comes out with like, this is the safest work environment there is. I was terrified for my life. Like, which is it? Like so. And if you're scared of what Phil can do, then there's a lot scarier guys than Phil. That's for sure.
As we talked about on Light the Fuse last week, definitely should have been something they should have done right away. Like if TK had come out the very next night on AEW Dynamite and said, "I had to fire Punk because of what just happened," roll the
Yeah,
footage, and then
yeah,
been like, "Look, regardless of what I think, regardless of what you think I think, this is not a working professional environment." So we had to
sure.
let him go. That's all you had to do.
And
Like, and it would have been
but
done.
to go to the root of the situation of what you propose, which is absolutely a great conversation. I was listening to Conan on K100 talk about it. 770,000 to 819. Sure, it's a bump, and you can put whatever percentage you want on it, but are you going to hold those people? Probably not, because we know
Maybe.
it's a phony wrestling storyline. They just wanted a one-off to see the footage. Will he really show it? does it really make anybody say this is can't miss TV after this? So, what is your next publicity stunt? I guess is what it comes down to. And
Yeah, they dipped to 723,000 viewers for the main event, so they did not hold.
yeah, that's an issue, right? So after that little bit of shock footage, then that means you probably put it on in the wrong part of the show, right? You needed to have people's reactions or saying, or like you got guys at commentary, Tony Schiavone holding his head like, I can't believe we're showing this.
Yeah.
We should have fucking seen Schiavone trying to talk Tony out of showing it.
That should have been the story.
Are they going to show it? And then at the end, they fucking do show it, right?
And then you go off
get
the air with
going.
that, leave the speculation.
Exactly.
We don't have to hear FTR come out afterwards and try to weave it.
Try and quantify it and make plot out of it because they don't know how. And they can act like they're fucking the top guys in this shit, but all that plotty stuff, you knew right away. Now we're back to phony wrestling, right? So I do like the Young Bucks ribbing the business. We need to turn up the volume on that and get even more obtrusive and more like shock value. You know what I mean? Making people sign NDAs or doing shit jokes or all that kind of stuff, So there's a lot that they can do to turn up controversy to get people to tune in. What are they going to say next? And what are they going to say that makes WWE sell through a Pat McAfee rib line? That's where the Cold War is kind of being fought back and forth when Pat McAfee does 15 consecutive sold out nights, like that type of shit is the fuck you to Tony Khan and the AEW 1850 audience.
So, I don't want to end this on a downer note here, but we are coming to the end of the Monday Locker Room, and we got to get into some world events here for a minute, Ben. So, this last weekend it happened Saturday night, as we were sitting there at the bar enjoying that beer. Which, by the way, what was the name of that bar?
Oh, to Copper City Brewery.
I was telling somebody about it last night. I was like, dude, this place was great. Like the beer they had there, it was so delightful.
Yeah, man. Excellent little spot, dude. They put a lot of effort into that. And that's a good mom and pop, like make your dreams come true. And their stuff is grade A craft. And everything in Rome is based off of copper because of Revere cookware that's been here for decades. My grandfather actually was a foreman at Revere. So a lot of people's families, so copper everything.
So Saturday night, the Iran launched retaliatory attack on Israel with hundreds of drone missiles. They launched a swarm of explosive drones, fired missiles at Israel late on Saturday in its first ever direct on Israel territory, risking a major escalation as the United States pledged ironclad backing for Israel. It's now being reported here by the U.S. Sun that Israel now, it says, revenge is coming. We will exact a price, warns Israel as it promises revenge against Iran after intercepting 99% of the 300 drones. So, yeah, things are escalating. Of course, you made the mention like, man, why couldn't they have done this hours ago? I could use this in my show.
I just use it as the fact that just like when Archduke Ferdinand was assassinated to start World War I, my match and being banned from New York wrestling versus Dick Justice is what started World War III.
That would have been it. You would have had the
You would have. I am the catalyst to World War III, Matt. That's what it comes down to. So yeah, we were greenlit, and the Get Me Iron Dome. The Iron Dome seems to be effective, and even if you go back, remember when Iran had a downed U.S. drone a couple years ago, and then they reverse engineered that, and now that's what they're sending to attack.
By the way,
yeah, I mean, they just
Go ahead. For those wondering what the Iron Dome is, it's a counter rocket, artillery, mortar, CRAM, short range air defense system. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it literally is mass machine guns and missile tracer systems.
Just don't want people thinking like I did about a couple years ago that maybe it was an actual like invisible dome we were talking about. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Biodome. Yeah, but yeah, says it intercepted that many. I just don't. I mean, as the conspiracy horseman part of me, I just don't trust any of this. That all sides aren't working together to push the new world order, one world government. When I see open borders in America to greenlit cells there to have Ukraine with 165, 185 billion dollars in your tax money. Happy tax day to everybody, by the way, that where all your money
Get
is
your
actually going to go.
extensions in.
Yeah. Get me an extension, dude. So my. All that ridiculousness in China isn't even in the mix yet with Taiwan, and that's coming as well. Um, it's insane that we're back here in the death cult once again. And the next step will probably be Iran getting nuked by Israel because they've been doing calculated attacks on generals, which is what the payback allegedly for this was after they took out another top official. And we've done the Stuxnet virus and all that stuff on there. Alleged enrichment, uranium enrichment facilities and underground explosions and all that kind of shit, right? And who even knows? Because we don't really have any real vision of what goes on in Iran. You know what I mean? In our propaganda media. So again, we're in a George Orwell 1984 where we hear it third hand of this person's allies of this, and we see some death to America chants and fucking you go back to Ayatollah crapola or the Shah, like these 80s propaganda before you were even really born. And here we are running the same fucking play over again in the same Cold War bullshit, except this time Russia isn't fighting the Taliban against our own CIA. In Afghanistan, they're actually partnering with Iran and China to be the new coalition of evil or whatever the fuck they want to brand it as. So the real thing is, though, if you look at Iran's main Capitol building or whatever it is, it's a pyramid and there's 33 windows in it. So it's the same fucking Freemasonry, the same cabal that runs the high end of the Mossad in Israel, that is all at the end of the day some satanic worship cult where they fucking made their own rules of some shit that happened 2,000 to 10,000 years ago, and they're still trying to uphold these weird paganistic rituals. And the reality is, they're all in on it together, and they're all war profiteering, and it's all to become masters of this universe once again. So it doesn't matter what phony fucking god or prophet you believe in, who you can or can't draw a picture of, or any of this bullshit. There's a group that does not want to cede power, that will kill at will in order to keep their military industrial complex going so they can level cities and then buy it all back up, whether it's Hawaii, whether it's Jerusalem, or whether it's fucking Tel Aviv, or whether it's fucking in Iran. What comes next for them, and Iran isn't fucking, everyone thinks they have all brown people are this, right, in the Middle East. Dude, Iran is filled with engineers, doctors. It's not some mountainous tribal fucking, like these are highly educated people.
Technology company. He was
These are
genius.
highly educated, and my tag partner, like I said, Ali, his parents came from Iran to America. His mom's was a vice president at University of Kentucky. His dad's a very successful and wise businessman. Ali went to West Point and should have been a lawyer before he got into pro wrestling. These are not some just tribesmen who are radicalized from a mosque. Like there's real concerted effort that is backed by mega business. And when you're talking about that, now you're talking about elite cabals where somebody just pissed somebody off in a meeting, or they agreed to work the fucking crowd and make it look like they're enemies while we do this. Would you send, how about this? Send shitty drones so our defense system can shoot them all down. That alone is fear inducing, right?
Right.
And now fear is the greatest motivator. And if people, I don't want to say they aren't dying, because if 8 missiles got through, who knows what true terror and damage they caused. But they probably knew the attack was coming, were given the Iggy, and were ready to take them all down. And who knows if they were even armed, some of those things. Maybe it's all for show. Really need to go back and read George Orwell 1984, where it talks about the Asia, Oceanica, and the pacts, where people didn't even, like, one day they're your allies, and then a year from now they're like, we were never friends with them. They were always against us. And you rewrite history that fucking fast, and you scrub the internet, you take down YouTube videos, and now nobody knows what the truth ever was and or is. You're just supposed to hate these people or be frustrated and be burnt out on war, and then they greenlight some shit here with whoever they let through in the borders, and they can enact any type of martial law and civil law that they fucking absolutely want to, bro. And that's the bigger picture of all this, not fucking Muslims hate Jews. Like, that's how fast they want to quantify it for the locker room talk, but they don't talk about Netanyahu's sons and fucking all this type of shit, where they're in the American upper elites being protected right now. So don't fall for any of these headlines, and don't buy into the easy hate that they're trying to spew in a very, again, George Orwell 2 minutes of hate every day.
I did have one more thing before I let you go. It popped in my head. I was thinking, so I was watching SmackDown last week, and they did this really cool production shot. Kevin Owens grabs the cameraman. He says, "Follow me," and this cameraman follows him for one long shot into his entrance. And I've noticed that WWE has been introducing more DSLRs, camera shots, when they're in the ring, like during these introductions. What do you think about? I mean, we've kind of tried the cinematic approach. At least some companies have, whether it be pre-recorded or like Lucha Underground, right? Maybe it didn't work out, but I feel like maybe this evolution of, this lens, if you will, DSLR, I'd like to see it more incorporated, not just within professional wrestling, but just in live sports itself. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it almost looks like I'm watching a video game when they do those little sweeping shots. Like, people almost don't look real. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Um, I like the way it looks. Everybody looks larger than life, and like, holy shit, they're stars.
right.
You know. And what I really like about KO doing that is Kevin Owens is the best at his best in the moment. Even though he may not be a trained improviser, he has great skill to say, take from the crowd what's going on and turn it right back into the person. Or he calls out the ridiculousness of whatever it is in wrestling, where guys are trying to show their shirts and abs off. He's like, oh yeah, nice stomach. What else are we doing? Like, he's really good at pissing on the party in real time and making fun of it. So I really hated all the years where people are like, especially in OVW, Vince says, don't look at the camera. Don't look right in the camera, break the fourth wall. But then MJF, he fucking brings the camera right to him and talks right to it, because the people in the fucking arena, they've already paid. They're
Right.
here. They're here. We got them. And we need to fill the rest of these seats. And to make an experience that's a one-to-one for the people at home, that's how you do it, is by looking right through the camera. So when KO does that, it makes you feel at home that you're in on something special with him.
Yeah.
Right. And Vince was so stupid to not do that, because Shawn used to do it. And Shawn Michaels, on the way to the ring, would look in the camera and fucking talk to you. And so would Cena right at home. So if you're a top over guy, the rules are different for you. Right.
Right.
But it really works with a guy like him, like Steen, who can connect through the camera. Even if we're just on IWTV, I was doing it last night when I was throwing punches at the cameraman, or when I'm on my entrance and I fucking look right in. Yes, Vince Russo, Shogun Assassin, channelattitude.com, like, talk shit right to him at home, because I'm trying to promote and fucking make a connection with somebody that's watching. I know they're watching, and I'm going to come through and fucking make them try and feel a certain way at the one-to-one. And to not do that for all those years of Vince McMahon's fucking psychosis as a director, because he would probably go, well, nobody looks in the camera in movies, and starts talking. I would go, bullshit. Go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like, fucking watch this and see how go watch The Office with small pieces and small takes right to
Right.
the camera. Those are the fucking Vince McMahon probably never even watched The Office. So how the fuck would he know, right? So
You think he would, right?
I,
Lauren
I
Michaels is his
like
boy.
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, that's his boy, Lauren Michaels. You think he would, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he'll give somebody The Office in The Office, but he doesn't watch The Office. And he's very much probably does more shit like Michael than you would realize. So
No way he just said that.
yeah, I did. So there's plenty of tricks that they could have done, and I'm glad that that's actually what shows me that this is a new day in production when I see that kind of stuff of guys being less handcuffed in their way to get over, or not having to worry about getting their ass chewed out in Gorilla when they come back through. Why'd you look at the camera? Ah, like that fucking feeling. Like, fuck you, dude. I know what I'm doing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Monday Locker Room time is coming to a wrap here. So we got to let Ben Hameen open up the cannabis store as the final cannabis himself, Ravens Joint. If you're in the Rome, New York area, Utica, upstate, go check it out and get your cannabis fix. I made the drive. Everybody was talking about me in the chat room and kind of like, watch out for potholes and watch out. The roads weren't that bad the whole way up there. Like other than like a typical freeway in which you drive on, you know what I mean? It wasn't anything different from that. So guys,
when you come back to visit this summer, I'll take you out there and we'll go out with the posse and I'll show you some real backwoods, chop wood, carry water camp shit. We'll have a good time, man. It'll be good.
Well, channelattitude.com, guys. Sign up today. You can get the Monday Locker Room, the Wednesday Locker Room, the Friday Locker Room, Light the Fuse, Rampage Uncaged, the Impact Attack, the Next Level Review, the Smack Attack, and more. Pro Wrestling Reflection Podcast. It's all there. Go check it out. Hami Media Group. Sign up. You can also check out Ben every week on the Raw and SmackDown review when he's available, of course, when he's not running the show.
I had some family emergencies last week that I had to go take care of, so I had to miss last week.
It's all right.
Wanted to be it was the week after WrestleMania, so I felt like I let everybody down pretty big. But
it's a cliffhanger. Yeah. And
I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with Big Stevie Cool and Ducey. Yeah,
it just makes the audience crave it more. So you had
and shout out to Mandir, did another awesome little animation piece, man. That shit just makes everybody's week complete when we see those things, because to see what we're just doing is fun, influence other artists, and then they bring it to life with their creativity, and it's just like there in cartoon form. Man, that's one of the most humbling things I think I do in this medium, because it's so fun for me to improvise and then to see it brought to life in a way that's better than most of the shit on Adult Swim or what have you, right? Whatever those pedophiles are doing. It's fucking it's very cool. So thanks to Mandir. Make sure you guys are giving us a follow.
Patreon.com/RussoTWC. You can sign up and get Master Shoot Theater, or you can sign up for just the brand itself all in one place if you want all in one package. Check out channelattitude.com as well if you want to just sign up Vince Russo's content. You'll get the Raw and SmackDown reviews part of that, along with Castrate the Marks, Lions, Tigers, Bears, and Head. This show with Stevie Ray, which is a really good show. And if you sign up on Patreon, you can also get the EC3 show. So it's got a lot of guys, got a lot of minds helping around Vince Russo. Shout out to Mike Durbin, running Vince Russo's YouTube channel. Go subscribe there on Vince Russo's channel, the brand itself. You can check me out. What is it? Where'd I go? linktr.ee/South Park Pod. Over 222 episodes available right now. We review South Park in order. And if you're right here and you're watching this show on YouTube, check us out on YouTube at South Park Pod. Hit us with that subscribe. That's it. That's all I got. Ben, what do you got?
Yeah, man, big time CTMSG. I like that shit. East side till I die. But it's gonna be another day slanging weed here at Ravens Joint, and I appreciate you doing the run in again. Apologies to RBV because he was ready to go, and I ribbed him because I was the one who fucked it up after he got super frustrated for 10
he
minutes.
Didn't get back on. All right, I told him like run in, but I think he's like fuck it, let him go.
So
He got a big one got started
I know I
today.
got heat with him, but I apologize, or I don't, Infidel, because I don't ever apologize to anyone, especially you, Super Cop Dick the Justice, and all those on the conspiracy side of Immortal from the New York State Athletic Commission, and possibly even you, MSG. No one is safe. You're all under the eyes of Hacker Hameen, and I'm going to find out exactly who called that $5 face slap spot. That little girl's getting slapped. All of you morons have been targeted for destruction because World War III is here, kicked off by Hacker Hameen on the Monday Locker Room. Here, channelattitude.com. Ding dong, hello.
If you're not